Hello and welcome. I'm Ruby Barlow and you're watching The World Report on NewsX World. Let's take a look at some of the headlines of this hour. The US military commander in the Middle East said American forces had struck nearly 2,000 targets so far in Iran as part of the largest firepower build-up in the region in a generation. Lebanese militant group Hezbollah has targeted northern Israel's Haifa naval base in response to the Israeli military's ongoing strikes against the Iran-backed movements in the strongholds in Lebanon, including the southern suburbs of Beirut. The United States has started facilitating charter flights from a number of countries in the Middle East for US citizens stranded in the region, as Washington's joint military strikes with Israel on Iran have severely disrupted global air travel. The move came 4 days after the US-Israeli air war on Iran began. Britain is deploying HMS Dragon, an air defence destroyer, to Cyprus after the runway of its Akrotiri base there was hit by an Iranian-made drone. Prime Minister Keir Starmer said he was sending the naval vessel along with helicopters with counter-drone capabilities to the region as the conflict in the Middle East intensifies. President Emmanuel Macron has said France is sending its aircraft carrier Charles de Gaulle to the Mediterranean and working to build a coalition that would help secure maritime traffic imperiled by the escalating crisis in the Middle East. Macron said that action needed to be taken with the Straits of Hormuz closed and the Suez Canal and Red Sea shipping routes threatened by the widening conflict. The dollar rallied to a 3-month high in early trading in Asia, with investors retreating from the euro as the growing conflict in the Middle East sparked fears of a sustained rise in energy prices. The euro traded down, extending losses into a third day after earlier hitting its weakest since late November. US Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has agreed to testify in the congressional inquiry of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The former New York financier has faced pressure over his associations with the late Epstein, especially after publicly released files undercut his claims of when he had severed ties with him. The Trump administration is quietly building a legal case against Venezuelan interim president Delcy Rodriguez, including readying a draft criminal indictment. Federal prosecutors have put together possible corruption and money laundering charges and have communicated to Rodriguez that she is at risk of prosecution unless she continues to comply with Trump's demands. And to our breaking story, Israel's military has reported striking dozens of Iranian security command centers, including targets across Tehran. The Air Force completed a further wave of strikes, hitting internal security and paramilitary besieged sites. The Israeli military stated that the strikes were aimed at destroying the Iranian regime's command centers and undermining its military capabilities. And joining us live, we have retired Major General Sadaqah, who is a senior geopolitical and strategic expert located in Jaipur. Major General Sadaqah, thank you so much for joining us today on the show. From a military perspective, what could be the end goal of this war, as Trump has not articulated a clear goal just as of yet? Could it be complicated by the fact that it would be incredibly unpopular to put boots on the ground, to put American boots on the ground domestically in the United States?
Yes, Ruby, thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me for your show, and take this opportunity to wish all your viewers and you and everyone in the studio a happy Holi. That is one of the most very important festivals of India. Now, as regards the question which you have raised, the military objective. Yes, to an extent, in your question lies a high degree of ambiguity, but let me clarify that Donald Trump, he himself has stated that his objective would encompass or include the following. First, to prevent Iran from going nuclear. That is to stop the enrichment. Okay, that includes not only the enrichment of uranium, but the infrastructure and the processing, so that Iran is completely not banned. It is prohibited. It should not ever take recourse to, even if it is civil nuclear energy, he will make sure that it doesn't happen. One. Number two, earlier he used to say that he would limit the ballistic missile range, but now he said that he will take all steps, not to dismantle, but to destroy the infrastructure, the storage facility, the warehouses, the production line, he will destroy. Number three, the proxies, earlier he had said that funding and supporting wherewithal should be stopped by Iran. He said, no, this time they will be destroyed. Fourth thing, there are 4-5 things like this, and he's gone on to say a couple of other issues also. Regime change. Okay, so all these things, although people, they think, I was in international debate yesterday, people think that they are political objective. Political objective is not this. All of them are in some form or other, they are the military objectives. Regime change is a kind of a political, socio-cultural, economic kind of objective. Okay. The political objective, as per me, as per my understanding, should be after 5 weeks or so, whenever it finishes. When is it going to finish? That I will cover after this, if you allow me. Political objective of Donald Trump should be that at the end of 5th week, will he leave Iran in a stable state, or he will leave it like Iraq or Syria or Libya? That should be the hallmark of maturity and responsibility of a superpower president as a statesman. If he's going for short-term aims, short-term objective, then follow the example that they did in case of Libya. They carried out aerial bombing, and there was a mass-scale uprising of the civilian population, and that is how they could actually call a shot. Is that going to happen in Iran? I'm afraid, as per my assessment, it is not. Iran is a different kind of a society. It's a civilizational country. Neither can be equated with Libya, nor with Venezuela, nor with Syria, nor with any other country. It has got its own identity. People will do well to understand what is it. A theocratic society is deep-rooted, religious in nature, the way of life. Why, I may have said in multiple channels that it is a very centralized kind of a vertical, but they have a decentralized kind of a tree organization. They have the Supreme Leader, under the Supreme Leader, they have multiple layers. Between 7th October 2023 and today, or whenever this attack took place on 28th February, they expected this particular attack. Or between the 12-day conflict of June 2025 and now, they expected that it was coming. So they had taken some recourse to some kind of a very thought-through approaches. Apart from having selected these targets that they resorted to as process of retaliation, they have gone in for dispersion of leadership, creating an architecture or a structure in which the leaders should not stay at one point, creating layers of leadership, 5 different layers. I have been saying 4, but I was corrected by a very eminent speaker yesterday. No, they had created 5 layers. The names were safeguarded, they were not disclosed. Similarly, they had gone in for infrastructures and tunneling below the mountains. USA and Israel, if they use the B-2 bombers, then the bunker busters, they can penetrate 60 meters inside. But they have gone beyond the 60 meters. At the foothill, around 600 meters maybe. They have dug the underground tunnels and bunkers. In that, they have got the defense industry building lined up there, and they create what? They create missiles. They develop drones. When you talk about the missiles, generally most of us are restricted by what is given in Wikipedia and Google. If you Google up how many missiles they have, it shoots up 2,000 to 3,000. No, it is highly wrong. You don't underestimate the enemy right ab initio. You give him the benefit of doubt. Go back in history and timeline. 1984-85 was the year, despite all sanctions, Iran started the process of missile manufacturing. Every month they had an objective of 30. They couldn't reach. They were just about 10 odd missiles per month, but by about the Iran-Iraq war, 80 to 88, they were reaching very close to 100. And by early 1990, they reached a target of 100, more than 100 per month, and thereby making it 3,600 every year. From 1990 till 2005, 25, if you calculate December 2025, 35 long years, multiply by 3,500 or 600, see how many it comes to.
Major
It is
General,
more than 10
please
lakh, more
keep
than
that
1 million.
thought as we move to our next story. Please don't go very far. Iran will hold a 3-day state funeral for its Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, who was killed in a US-Israeli strike on the 28th of February last month. The funeral will begin at 10 p.m. local time, with members of the public invited to pay their final respects at the Imam Khomeini Grand Mosque in Tehran. Khamenei, who was 86 years old, will be reportedly buried in his hometown of Mashhad in northeastern Iran. In another significant development, Mojtaba Khamenei, the son of the late Supreme Leader, has reportedly elected to succeed his father as Iran's next Supreme Leader. Sources close to the matter have revealed that the Assembly of Experts has chosen Mojtaba, a long-time contender for the role. Mojtaba, aged 56, is the second eldest son of Ayatollah Khamenei and has long been viewed as a potential successor. Meanwhile, Israel's Defense Minister Israel Katz has issued a warning threatening to assassinate any leader who successfully replaces Ayatollah Khamenei. Katz has stated that any Iranian leader who continues Khamenei's policies against Israel, the US, and the free world will be considered a target for assassination. Joining us again live, we have retired Major General Sudhakar Ji, who is a senior geopolitical and strategic expert in Jaipur. Now, just on a note that you were making before, Major General, as a political objective, do you believe that Trump would accept a toned-down version of the Islamic regime's leadership that would be willing to bend to his demands, similar to what we see in Venezuela now with Delcy Rodriguez? Would Trump accept that as an end outcome, as Ayatollah Khamenei's son has now been chosen as the Supreme Leader?
Absolutely spot on. There is no other option, Ruby. You see, in your question lies the answer, I must say. You see, what are the options? Option is to root out regime. Can they root out the regime in Iran? Nobody can root out or eradicate or eliminate the regime. That means they haven't understood the meaning of regime. It is so deep rooted. It is a way of life. It goes down in the structure towards the 31 provinces. Each province has got number of districts. Between the districts and provinces, they have got counties. At every level, they have got people of IRGC. They have got religious mullahs and clerics. Islamic structures are based on the religion, right down to the level. It is a way of life. In times of the economic distress, they may have fallen apart within the boundaries of Iran. They may have had difference of opinion, divided society. But look at the composition, 27% in rural areas who were pro-regime prior to this incident, almost 73% in the urban areas. Predominantly out of 73%, I was told it's around 56% who were pro-regime. But now what has happened? Any such country, civilizational country, subjected to attack from external forces, actually the attack from external forces acts as a trigger. It ignites the passion of nationalism. It binds the people together. And today, you look at Iran, all the fence-sitters, they are pro-regime. All those people who are against the figures may not be correct. It has to be corroborated. But majority, look at the way they have been murdered. Nobody will be, even the enemy of the greatest enemy within Iran itself will not be prepared to accept. Now coming to what is the solution? The solution is who blinks first. Is it USA, Israel? They will blink first, or Iran will Iran, knowing Iran and having studied Iran in detail, I am convinced that they will not raise their arms. They will not surrender ever. They will rather die than surrendering before these external forces. So therefore, what are the options? The options are have a via media negotiated stance. What is the negotiated stance is something which you have just alluded to, or down, somebody who will listen to the, someone who will listen to the religious needs, somebody who will go along with the traditional and historical practices of Iran. That is the best option available at the moment. There are people, apart from, they may threaten, they may kill him, they may assassinate this new man coming, but there are five more who are waiting. So you can't stop the religious practices. Therefore, theocracy has to be understood in holistic form. Only then they can find a lasting solution.
Of course. Major General Sadakaji, thank you so much for joining us today on the show. It's been a pleasure. Now to our next story. An Israeli airstrike has hit Hezbollah's bastion in the southern suburbs of Lebanon's Beirut following an evacuation order from the Israeli army. The strike is part of a series of deadly raids that have targeted several locations in Beirut, including a neighbourhood near the presidential palace, as well as areas south of the capital and the city of Baalbek in eastern Lebanon. At least 11 people have been reported dead so far. Meanwhile, the Israeli Defense Forces have redeployed the 146th Reserve Division to the western part of the Lebanon border. The redeployment is reportedly part of efforts to strengthen defence and readiness in the northern sector. Since Hezbollah joined the conflict on Monday, the IDF has struck over 250 targets in Lebanon. These strikes have included senior terror operatives, rocket launchers and weapons depots belonging to Hezbollah and other militant groups. Joining us live, we have retired Major General Gigi Dwivedi, who is a defence analyst in New Delhi. Gigi Dwivedi, thank you so much for joining us today on the show. Now, Hezbollah was initially formed by discontented Palestinian refugees in southern Lebanon. Could we see these strikes work in Hezbollah's favour as civilians in southern Lebanon have to deal with these strikes coming in from Israel?
Well, Ruby, thank you very much for having me on your show. Let me start with a little correction. The Hezbollah was actually created by the Shia clerics in Lebanon and with the full support of the clerics in Iran. And it was in 1982 that Hezbollah was created, because that's the time when Israel invaded Lebanon. So this outfit was created. And this is not the only outfit created by Iran and the Shia clerics. There are others as well. One is the Houthis who are operating in Yemen, and of course Hamas is the ones which are in Gaza, and that's the war that has been going on since 7th October 2023. Now coming to Lebanon per se, the Lebanon front have been active, as I said, since 1982, and the Hezbollah are a force to reckon with. They are possibly the most formidable of the three proxies that Iran has created. Their strength varies from 30 to 50,000, and their rocket arsenal exceeds about 100,000. And they have taken on the Israeli Defense Forces. In fact, I teach this subject as a professor on West Asia. In 2006. That's the time when the major operation which undertook across the Litani River for almost 34 days. So the point I'm trying to make is that this is not a new front that has opened up. It keeps popping up time and again. But the Hezbollah became very active after the Hamas attack on 7th October 2023 on Israel, because to show their solidarity with the Hamas and also further the Iranian proxies in this region. Now, because they have been created by Iranian Shia clerics, so they obviously have to rise to the occasion when the masters are facing the wrath of America and Israel combined. So these proxies will also come into play, and that's exactly what has happened. And this is where the Israeli Northern Front is actually the one which now is under threat as hitherto. Now, Israelis have a very formidable policy. They have deployed their 146th division. That's the one which is responsible for the defense of the northern borders. But 2-3 points which merit consideration for the viewers. First and foremost, Hezbollah has a kind of a zone where they are deeply embedded. They have very, formidable fortifications, and they also have influence in the region, and they also fight from the built-up areas. That's why when the Israelis retaliate, there are also civilian casualties as a collateral, and that creates a lot of human rights issues. So the point is that in time to come, you'll see Hezbollah will be very active on the Israelis' northern front. Lebanon south will be once again a scene of skirmishes, but this is also a major issue for the government in Lebanon, because willy-nilly they will get drawn to this conflict. So therefore, all I can say is that Hezbollah will be active now because the masters are under serious security threat and all under aggression, and this Lebanon front will see a lot of violence and activities in time to come. Ruby.
Major General Gigi Dwivedi, please don't go far as we move to our next story. The United States has ordered non-emergency government employees and family members to leave its consulates in Lahore and Karachi due to escalating security risks. The US State Department cited the ongoing threat of drone and missile attacks from Iran and significant disruptions to commercial flights in the region following the outbreak of hostilities between the US and Iran on February 28th. The order comes after violent demonstrations in Pakistan protesting US-Israeli strikes in Iran, which left 23 dead. The advisory also warned Americans about the fluid security environment, including risks of terrorism and violent extremism in the country. Joining us again live, we have retired Major General Gigi Dwivedi, who is a defense analyst in New Delhi. Major General, how could this new war between Iran, the US and Israel impact the current open war that has been declared between Pakistan and Afghanistan?
Well, Ruby, we need to take a overview exactly as to what is happening in Pakistan. See, Pakistan has been in state of instability for quite some time to come, and there are a couple of reasons for that. First and foremost, there is internal turbulence in Pakistan because there are minority areas, whether you take Balochistan or Khyber Pakhtunkhwa or even Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir. These minorities have been up in the arms against the Pakistan defense forces because they have been marginalized and they have been actually traumatized. And that's why Balochistan Liberation Army in Balochistan and Tariq-e-Taliban Pakistan in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, they have been acting and taking heavy toll on the Pakistan defense forces. Now, coupled with that is the conflict that is on between Afghanistan and Pakistan, because if you go back point in time, the Taliban came back to power in August 2021. But Pakistan thought they'll have now a favorable regime because they helped the Taliban to come to power and defeat American forces, but that has not happened. And because Taliban have refused to toe the line of Pakistan, so therefore this border conflict is on between Pakistan and Afghanistan. They have a border of about 2,600 kilometers along the Durand line, which is not being accepted as the border by Afghanistan. So these Afghanistan Pashtuns and also the Pashtun within Pakistan, they do not accept the Durand line. And now these hostilities actually have been escalated in last couple of days because Pakistan undertook strikes on Afghanistan, and Pakistan always has tried to use force and intimidate the Taliban, which has not happened. So Taliban also has retaliated and they have attacked number of Pakistani posts, and also they are striking deep through the drones into Pakistan territory. And coupled with this is the Iran and war that is going on between US and Israel and Iran, because Pakistan also has a very high density of Shia population, almost 30-40 million Shias are there, and they have been protesting on the assassination of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei, and that's why there was a protest on the consulate of America in Karachi, where almost 27-28 protesters lost their lives, and similar threat is there in Lahore as well. So I think American government has given right advisory that all the people who are non-essentials in these consulates and embassies, they are advised to leave because they can be actually the target or the victim of the violence that is going on. So in sum, I can say that Pakistan is in serious internal turmoil. It is fighting on multiple fronts. Its own minorities, that is in Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. It is fighting the Afghanistan forces and also the internal dissent by the Shia community against what's going on in Iran. Ruby.
Major General Gigi Dwivedi, thank you so much for coming on our show today, and may I wish you a very happy Holi. Now to our next story. According to reports, OpenAI is developing a new code hosting platform to rival Microsoft's GitHub, according to a report from The Information. Reports suggest that the decision to create the platform came after engineers at OpenAI experienced frequent disruptions with GitHub, affecting service availability. Although the project is still in its early stages, but it's expected to complete in several months. Meanwhile, there are considerations to offer the code repository for purchase to OpenAI's customer base. And that's all we have time for. Please keep watching NewsX World for more news updates from around the world.